Morning, everyone. It is officially 8 o'clock, so we are going to get started. I am Matthew Johnson,
I'm Perry Peterson.
and we are both network engineers here at Twin State Technical Services. And today we are going to present to you a little bit about Microsoft Teams.
I'm Beth Tinsman. I'm introducing two of our newest members of the Twin State team. Both were interns for, hello, and they were also students at St. Ambrose in computer science while they worked for us during their senior year. So this is the first time they've been presenting. We're going to make this a little conversational, and we're going to let them take the lead. At the end of each section, we'll ask if there are any questions. We've got a lot of people on the call, so unmute and you can ask your question. Or if you know how to use chat, we will be seeing chats. Without further ado, I know that Matthew and Perry have put many hours into doing this, so hit it.
So the agenda for today, we're first going to go over a little bit about what is Microsoft Teams for everyone who doesn't know already. We're going to show you how to get started with Teams.
We're going to go over teams and channels, collaboration and communication within those channels, file sharing and editing within those channels and teams. And we're also going to go over meetings and live events, how to use apps in command box, and your activity feed. And we're going to talk for about 30 minutes, then we're going to open it up for more questions at the end.
So you'll notice this is a very important layout because this is how Teams looks like when you open up the program. The most essential part of Teams is on this left vertical bar here. This is where you'll navigate Teams mainly from. So you'll have at the top you see your activity tab. Below that you have your chats. Then you have your Teams. Followed that you have your calendar, your calls, and then your files.
So Matt, you're basically walking down the left side, and those are all the essential items from calendaring to chatting, and that's where you find your work.
That is correct, Beth.
Yep.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
You'll also notice at the top, next to the command box, you'll have the little pen and pencil. That is where you can start chats. To the right of that is the command box where you can search and you can type commands. We will go into this later.
So are you saying that if I wanted to find anything that Matt Johnson sent to me, I could actually type Matt Johnson in there and it would all show up?
Right here.
Oh, thank you.
To the right of that, you have managing profile settings.
So that's just like anything you ever find in software today. Your settings are on that upper right-hand side, and that's where you would change background colors and just things about yourself.
That's correct.
Oh, that makes sense.
Anytime you see the 3 dots, that is a more section. Whenever you click on that, you'll have more options, more customization.
Oh, sometimes I see that on other websites or applications, and that's what 3 dots means.
Yep, for sure.
Thank you.
At the bottom, you can join or create a team. To the right of that, you will type in chats. And you can see people have conversed here, and you can reply to those messages as you see them.
So my main screen right in the center is really whatever I'm doing, the work I'm doing at that point in time, based on where I am on the left-hand bar. So if I'm in chats, I'm going to see chats. If I'm in my calendar, that'll show my calendar.
That is correct.
Oh, all right, that makes sense. That's what that real estate space is for.
So here we have the mobile app.
Wow, I love that mobile app. Believe it or not, I thought it would be impossible to use. I did a quick download, and actually on my mobile app, I can quick chat, just like if I had to do a personal text to a group,
For sure.
like my family about what to have for dinner. I can actually do a quick chat with a work group on a project.
And you'll notice that vertical bar is basically flipped into a horizontal bar. It looks very familiar to the computer version surprisingly familiar. It's very easy to get a hold of and start using.
So can I actually have a virtual call right there when I'm chatting someone?
That's
That is correct.
Right from my phone. So there's even a little picture that when I'm chatting, I'll end up seeing a little video box and I can click that. Neat. I do that a lot actually, but not while I'm driving.
So you're able to take that on the go and respond to anybody when you want. So the basic question, what is Microsoft Teams? Essentially, it's a chat and collaboration platform for Microsoft 365 customers, and it's designed to simplify the group work so everybody can work on things together and use instant chat and channels for sharing files. It's a fun, simplified process for team management and communication, all available on the cloud, so you can take it anywhere.
So Perry, in a way what you're saying is if I've got a spreadsheet in Excel and I want to work with my accounting person on it, we can both be in a Teams session with that Excel. I don't need to be outside my Teams application,
Yep.
and we can be working on numbers together or even working on a Word document.
Yep, and whatever each of you work on will be synced up.
Oh, that's great.
And it's an easy to use interface and has similar layouts such as Google Hangouts or like Facebook Messenger. It's kind of all the same.
If I'm not used to those things though, is it going to look like Word or Excel? Not really. It really looks like other collaboration tools. So if people are seeing this as a collaboration tool for the first time, it's going to be something new to get used to.
For sure.
That makes sense.
What is a team? Teams are groups of people brought together for work. And the main feature is you can edit files at the same time, communicate with them, and collaborate with ease. And here's another look at Microsoft Teams. You'll be able to see at the top right here, you have teams right here, such as Fourth Coffee. So this would be like your company, and then you have different sections of your company, like departments. So you can have a channel for fun stuff, or another department such as marketing, and it kind of sections off your company so that people can work on those projects in their own department.
So one of the interesting ways that we use this is, of course, our company is named Twin State, so we'd have Twin State at the top, and then we have software department, we have our web team, we have the infrastructure team, but even underneath that we'll have subgroups, which are called channels, and that might be if we're working on a small project, the people that are working on, let's say it's a backup recovery process, to enhance that, we'll have our own little channel underneath that. The only thing I ever found confusing is calling those things channels, but I think about it as being in a radio station. And my radio station is, working, like Twin State, and then I'm channeling in on what thing that I need to work on right at that point in time.
Yeah, for sure. If you're interested in Teams and don't know how to use it, you can try it for free. To try it for free, you can visit tsts.com/Microsoft-Teams. It is important to note that you should be using your personal email for personal use, and if you want to try Teams for your company, please go through us and contact us.
And the reason that we ask that is if you go through it as your company, now some of your companies are already set up and are using Office 365, or they've renamed it, by the way, Microsoft 365. That's new. If you hear it being called Microsoft 365, they just changed that because they wanted, I think, their name in the marquee here. But the reason that you do that is if you sign up and you're the first person in the company to sign up, you become the official administrator, but you don't know it. And then if your company decides to go to Teams, you won't remember that you're the administrator, and to undo that when you've signed up your company that way will take a couple hours of work. So you would rather do it in your personal account if you're trying it for starts. Otherwise, someone's going to come after you and say, "Did you test this out and not tell anyone here?" So that's why we let you know that.
So here's a look at the different plans for Teams. The free version has a max of 300 people per organization, and the free version also includes unlimited messaging and a 10 gigabyte file limit. So that would be files you're sharing between all your teams. For the free version, it would be limited to 10 gigabytes. And some of the perks of the pro versions is you can have unlimited people and a lot more storage, such as up to terabytes.
But basically, some of the things that you get with the other versions is you can actually start using it as your phone system, believe it or not. That's kind of an interesting thing. So you can actually call people. Oh, by the way, this is the new way to call people. This is old style. This is new style. There's a quick tip.
So how do you get started with Teams? You're going to want to sign into Teams using your Microsoft 365 username and password. And you're either going to want to create or join a team within your organization. And on the right's a little diagram, step-by-step tutorial. You would open up Teams by going to your Windows, clicking Microsoft Teams, or on Mac you go to your Applications folder and click Microsoft Teams, or on mobile you'd tap the Teams icon, and from there you'd sign in using your Microsoft 365 username and password.
Perry, I'm kind of lazy. What I do is I click my Windows button in the lower left-hand corner, and I just type TEA and it comes up, and bam, I'm done.
That works too.
That's my lazy person. So once you've downloaded it, installed it, you just go TEA, boom, you're done.
That's it.
I do that on my phone too. I use my search bar to look for things, and then I just slough it off like that.
So creating a team. You can either create a team from scratch or create a team from an existing Office 365 group or team. You can add a name for the team, description, add members. If the member is outside the organization, you can use their email address. You can set their nicknames, but note you must be the team owner to invite your guests.
So my company comes set up, but then I can have those teams that are, let's say I'm going to build a new building, or I'm going to do a project, and I could name it that project name, and then I add members to that team.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
And again, there are different channels below your team for different organizations or departments in your company, if you want to section it off.
We do that in our web team. We'll be working as a web team, but we may have a project for a customer, like Oracle, or actually that's kind of a fun one, and then we'll have something just for that where we're posting ideas and thoughts. We're actually going to relaunch our own website, and so we've got a place where we're just posting ideas there, which is nice. It's unlike an email, because when you use email, of course, you have to manage your email by dragging it and moving it. But in this way, you have a history that shows up, and you don't have to worry about managing emails in it that have essential information. And maybe you don't want to have a project plan in a project management system, so this kind of bridges the gap.
Yeah, for sure. So navigating and communicating in Teams. So for this part, we're going to do a live demonstration of Microsoft Teams.
Ooh, fun. I always like live things. There's such a risk that they fail.
So here we have your Teams channel. The tab on the left, this is where you're going to go to everything pretty much. This would be like your main buttons.
So activities,
Chats,
chat,
Teams,
calendar, calls,
files.
and files.
Yep. And teams are groups of people that connect to groups for projects and common interests.
Let's just point a couple of these interesting things out. Khan Academy is what we call our actual training program for people, and so Pat, Matt, and Perry went to Khan Academy, which we held every Friday for quite a long time. And so Khan Academy is a training channel for us.
So as you can see, these conversations are like texting. You can scroll back and see what you said earlier. So it's kind of nice. You can always look back and see the conversations from earlier.
So I actually see that you and Matt had a Teams channel so you could work on your presentation together.
That's correct.
Neat. And then you had a testing area too, so that's interesting.
Yep.
And then I happen to know that you do some work in some different customers, so I see some customers. And then ASCII Group is a membership organization where we get technical resources and support, so I see that that's there. Those are the things on the left vertical and the way our company is organized.
And at the top you'll see every chat, or every team has a posts tab where everybody in the team can see this. So this is kind of like the general chat between everybody in your team, rather than just like a section of your team called the channel. So you'll see you have files up here that you're sharing.
So that just pulls out all the files that you're working on, so they're not buried inside the posts. Then meeting notes, they're a little bit different. You probably don't need to really go into detail on that, but it does show your meeting notes.
Yep.
What you want to accomplish.
And if you hit the little plus right here, you can add any of these applications. As you can see, there's a lot, different variety that you can add to your teams.
So I'm curious, what does it mean to add an application? And I do see the benefit because I don't have to leave Teams. If I wanted to work in Excel, I don't really need to leave Teams now and close it down or minimize it. I can work on something. Actually, I'll give you a funny example of how we use it before you answer that question. We're doing an extraction of some data from one of our Sage applications, and I'm working with Matt Oliva, our developer, on how to present something that one of our administrative people spent hours every month doing, and he's automating it. And we're pulling it out and dumping it into Excel, and we're looking at it together to do problem determination to make sure that the headings are the way we want them and the calculations are done correctly. But what does it mean to have an application and add it here?
So per se, you want to add, Microsoft Word. You'd be able to add it here, and then you can add a document. Then everybody in this team is able to collaborate on that document, and it'll be available up in the tab up here. So you can do the same thing with like Microsoft Excel. You can add Microsoft Excel to your team, and everybody's able to collaborate in that file.
That's nice. That's a little bit like when I use like Google, and we all collaborate,
Yep.
but I've got the power of Microsoft embedded right in there.
That's correct.
Thank you.
And you're also able to pin a channel. Per se, if you're using a certain channel a lot, you can pin it to the top so you don't lose it. That way, whenever you come back to your Teams tab, it'll be at the top, and you can always type right in there.
That reminds me of when I use Word, I can actually pin documents at the top like a bulletin board where I can access those quickly first. So the channels that I use the most or the people I work with the most, I don't have to have it just in alphabetical order. I can pin the things I want at the top.
That's
That makes
correct.
sense. Probably our audience knows that I'm the straight man now because I actually...
So communications in Teams. So this is the general chat, and this is where everyone will be messaging each other in the general chat, so everybody can see it. And you can reply here to people. You can add reactions, GIFs. You can get somebody's attention by using the @ symbol and then followed by their name. So this will, give them a notification. If I want to @ Perry myself, this will give them a notification on their end, and then they'll see that and get, their phone will go off. It'll pop up on their computer.
And this is just in the general chat. This
Yep.
isn't when I want to just have a chat with one individual.
Yep, we're about to get into that too.
Oh, exciting. Are we going to do that live?
Yep.
Oh.
And also you can create a post inside of a channel, and you can create that as an announcement. So if you want to, get somebody's attention, or you're doing something soon, there's a new update that rolled out, update, and you can customize this announcement whatever color you want, and you can set, only moderators can reply to this announcement, and you can also post it in multiple channels. So instead of going in there and putting it in every channel, you can post it straight to every department.
So that sounds like it's got a lot of power, but if I basically just wanted to type in, it's Sean Schmidt's birthday today,
Yep, you can
I
post
could post that in so we could all wish him happy birthday.
That's correct.
So it can be used for any purpose. It can say there's going to be a fire drill. Actually, this is a great thing to use. We had the fire department here testing, and they were setting off the fire alarms. And we can just say, you do not need to leave your desk for this announcement. Just sit tight. They're testing our equipment.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
All right. Now we have chats and contacts.
This
So-
is my favorite productivity thing of all, because I think, what is so-and-so doing? And now that we're all in a virtual world, I could literally just find out. Also, if they don't answer their chat, then I know that they aren't where I want them to be answering my questions.
That's correct. So, to start, this is it's between more than, it's not like a team, but you can conversate between like one person if you want. So one-on-one. So you could start a new chat. You type in their name, and then from there you would.
Why don't you chat with me?
Yes, chat with Beth.
So literally you just go up to the bar and you type in BE, oh, that's me, okay. And you're going to click on that. Ooh, I'm going to have to chat with you. Go ahead. Am I throwing you off script here? I am.
This is our chat, our private chat,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see them talk about Microsoft Teams,
And at the same time, you can also have chats with multiple people at the same time.
just like this one right here.
Just like you would in a team itself, but here it's more of a private chat.
Now the problem with showing you that private chat, which we had on screen, is you saw me giving them comments about their presentation. About what sections to emphasize and not.
Yep.
But that's a great example of a legitimate private chat.
Yep.
Hey, I saw your thing. In fact, Matt and Perry, in preparation, had posted a video of themselves that I could watch, and 3 people here watched that video, and then we gave them comments, and we had a private chat with them, so they could kind of read the running commentary. Much better than in an email, where it's there, and then where do you file it? You have to retrieve it. It's in your private chat about a specific thing. You can always get rid of it when you're done with it, but you can have a running record. Very nice.
So as you can see here, this is a private chat with more than one person. So we renamed the chat to Microsoft Teams. You can view the participants. This is the participants. And you can call these people as well. So you can have a video call with the team.
So go ahead and show that. But before that, can you show how to add a person? What if the chat just needs to have one more person?
You can add people right here.
Oh my gosh, so literally if I needed to add one more person because I want to... Now one of the nice things, and there's lots of features in this, is if you add a person, you're going to notice that it says, do you want to give them the chat history? Like, do you want to give them everything going backwards? Or should they just be included this point on? Well, hey folks, if you're like, should we include John or not? You maybe don't want to include it from history. So adding John from this point on would work.
That's correct.
So this gives you a lot of power, and it literally is back up in that, almost like where you think of settings. So for those of you like Kale Company that can own, is using this and is listening to this, you can use that. It's like a setting. Think of it that way.
So we're getting some questions down there.
While you're looking at the questions, Matt, can you video chat with, how about showing how easy it is to video chat with Micah?
Sure. So we can go, so if we did this, it would just be a video chat with the people that are, there I am. It would be using a video chat with just the people that are in that chat specifically.
Oh, why don't you hang up on yourself?
Or, I was going to get into this in a little bit, but if we go to our calendar, we have the option to meet now. And in here, if we join a meeting this way, I could invite Micah to the meeting, and he'll get the invite, and it says calling him here.
Micah may choose to not answer. We'll see.
And
Oh,
there he is. And some of the other features you're given here, you can mute yourself. You can turn your camera on and off. You can share your screen just like we're doing for the GoToMeeting. If you see the more actions, here,
Oh,
there's Micah.
Micah. He's actually live and they're video chatting. We're taking a video of a video chat.
Here we have that more I was talking about. So here we can start a recording. There's some background effects. You can see Micah just used one of those the Twin State Technical Services background. And you can turn off incoming video, you can show meeting notes, you have a lot of options there. You can also see your participants that are in here, or you can invite someone else. You can see that Micah is no longer part of this meeting. And when you're ready to leave, you just hit hang up.
Now there's a lazy person's way of video chatting. Also, so if you go up to the top search bar and just type in Melissa Tremkamp, like Melissa Tremkamp. So let's say you've got her and you're going to click on her name and you literally just want to call her. In the upper corner right there, you don't really need to be as formal as a meeting. You literally can make an audio call. She's not expecting this, so I'm not going to call her. But you literally just click the camera or the audio as you see the arrow in the upper right hand corner underneath Twin State Technical Services screen, and that person's going to pop up. And so oftentimes now, even though we're in a pandemic and only about 20% of our employees are here at any one time because of social distancing and the safety rules we've put in place, we video chat all the time. If you already own Office 365 or Microsoft 365 and you have Teams, this is really phenomenal. And we're happy to give you further training in how to do it because it makes you be very collaborative and you feel like you're right in front of someone.
Let's see, and I noticed somebody said, how did he create an announcement? So I can demonstrate that again.
So we're going to go back and show you how we make an announcement to answer the question.
Yep, so here
how
it
to
is.
do that.
I'll restart it for you. So at the bottom right here, below the chat
Go
box,
slow.
you'll see the letter A right here with the brush. You want to hit Format. And then you can see it says New Conversation up here. And you're going to want to change that to an announcement.
Now for the people that maybe have their screen exploded so they can see better, because one of the challenges, depending on what screen you are, is if your screen is zoomed in, you're not seeing at the bottom of the screen where Perry went because that's being cut off for you, and that might be one of the problems. So look to your zoom quality on this if you're not seeing where we're going, and you're going to need to sort of back up a little bit in your overall view.
And that's where you'll post to multiple channels as well. You'll have that option.
I never use this feature myself. I don't really like, to me now, an announcement, I'm going to email the group.
Mhm.
I'm not going to just rely on this. I can't always rely on everybody seeing something because you've got, you might have things clogged up, so to speak. So I like my announcements to be an email. Any other questions we have so far, or was that the only one?
I think Micah's been answering some.
Okay, so Mike is answering some of your questions as you go. Let's keep moving along.
Yep. And then also the main, really cool feature of the chats is you can see, who saw your message. So as you can see, it's seen by everybody. So that's the private chat, and it'll tell you if they've seen it.
The most powerful thing, I think, I'm going to turn my webcam off for a minute because we're giving a message that says that we may have some slow network going on. Okay.
This is Sarah, and I was prevented from starting sooner, and I'm not sure if I'm getting everything I need to do.
It's going to be recorded, right?
My screen is not readable.
We can have someone call you, Sarah, separately.
That would be great.
Micah, would you make sure someone's contacting Sarah right now so she can participate? Also, Sarah, we're recording this, and so for all of you that want to go over this again, this is recorded and we will send this to you so you'll have a full recording so you're not going to miss anything.
So just to break that down for you, you have you can talk in smaller groups by using the private chats, and which will allow you to be in a smaller chat and be one-on-one. So again, this kind of just breaks it down for you. So you can give your group chat a name. Chats are accessed by the chat tab. You can call anybody using the video chat or audio calling directly. Screen sharing is also available, and you're able to pin a private chat and use GIFs.
A lot of people that are experienced business people don't really use GIFs. GIFs are just animated pictures, and we don't, this is kind of a funny thing, we don't always use pictures. We use text when you're an experienced, mature person, but you can also think of GIFs as emoji type of things that have animations or smiley faces and things like that. Now we're going to briefly talk about calling on Teams. You have the capability to make phone calls, and this is a screen that talks about how to do that. You literally pick up,
The audio may have cut out briefly
oh,
for about the last 30 seconds.
we're hearing we had a little bit of audio problems, so we're going to continue talking on how to make audio calls. Because we have all of you on calls, it's hard to make an audio call
For sure.
while we're doing a video on it. So we're going to just walk you through. When you see the team name member of the people, you literally just hover over anyone's photo and you pick the
Audio.
phone handset, which you can see on the right side of the screen with a telephone receiver. When you click on that, it's going to call that person. You may ask yourself, how does it know the person's phone number? Because Microsoft Office 365 is populated through its organization, when we add you as a member in Office 365, as long as we've added your phone number, that's going to be embedded in the system. In some ways, you just handle this like a regular contact. So all contacts that have phone numbers, you'll be able to make a phone call. It's really very easy. It's nothing more than clicking on the handset.
That's correct.
That's all you have to do. Let's go to the next area. One of the biggest features for this is collaborating on work projects. The collaboration really lets you not have to have people working separately in a Word document. Let's say you're working on a company policy about the pandemic. Well, it's very nice posting shared information and then being able to work on your company policy together with Word after you've embedded Word into your channel.
Okay, so private channels, the team owner is able to, have a private channel for certain people in a group if they're working on a secret project.
A secret project?
Yeah.
Like the budget?
Yeah, so if they're working on a secret project and they
That's
don't want
exactly
certain people
what we
seeing it, the team owner can choose who can be able to see that channel.
In other words, what you're trying to say is, whoever can create groups, one of the things an organization can decide is, does everybody have the right to create a group or only some people?
Yeah.
Like managers. This is a policy decision. It's not a right or wrong. So if you're working and you want to create a group, here at Twin State, we let everybody create a group. So when Matt and Perry decided to work together on a presentation, they created their group of 2. When we work on a project for a software development process, we're actually working on a product called Jira, and we're training ourselves in it. We've got a project named Jira. One of the team members made that group. So the way you can work and share is pretty easily. You're literally adding members in your settings on that right side.
That's correct.
Now we're going to talk a little bit about working on files together.
I think these are your main. PowerPoint, Excel, and Word are like essential pretty much in work these days.
They come with Office
Yeah.
365, so you'll always be able to work on a PowerPoint jointly, an Excel file jointly, or Word. However, Microsoft gives you the capability, if your company owns other third-party applications, to add those in. So you might see things listed, but you may not, if your company doesn't own that application, even though it's listed, and we're going to show you this in a minute, even though it's listed, you're not going to really be able to add that application in.
So if we look at the Microsoft Teams application itself, and we go into our Teams tab, we looked at this plus icon at the top a little earlier. Yes. So if we hit that, we have different options here. We can see like Excel, OneNote, PowerPoint. So if I were to click on Microsoft Word, for example, and I can share this Word document with the rest of the team, so I can hit save. And it's going to show this at the top. So anyone who clicks on this tab at the top of this team can see this and edit it in real time. So you never have to leave Microsoft Teams itself to be able to work on whatever project you're doing. And you also have the option here, if you see the more options here at the top of Word, you're also able to open this specific document in your browser through OneDrive, or you can download this document onto your computer itself. And you'll also see you have a Files tab here. So if we go into there, you can see all the recent files you've accessed in order by date.
Let's pause here for a minute. This is interesting. Let's say you're working by yourself. Let's say you are like, oh, I know I was working on that collaboration and I want to see, I don't remember exactly when that was or even what channel that was in, which team that was. I just remember I want to find this. And this really shows you, it's your memory of your most recent things you've worked on. So you can actually see good work down here. They've worked on the Teams presentation. They've done an Infinite Campus update. They've updated notes in Team Notes. We have a thing, it's about 5 or 6 down, called the Help Desk Survival Guide. And that has a lot of instructions. Remember, we're an IT company, so we need to help people, and we have a survival guide that helps us give answers to common problems. So they were accessing the Help Desk Survival Guide and even a notebook and the PowerPoint itself up here. So you're seeing a lot of helpful documents. That's an easy way to get to them.
Mm-hmm. And if we go down to the next one, it'll show us all the various documents that we have access to that are pinned onto different teams. So these are the various documents that are pinned up here. We see those into the Files tab under Microsoft Teams. You can see the tests we just added there. If we go into Downloads, these are all of the different applications or files that we have downloaded, so it gives us a list of those by date as well. And the cool thing about Microsoft Teams is that it connects directly to your OneDrive, so you can see all of your various documents that you saved in OneDrive straight into here.
So as we've moved from 10 years ago, where we had things just stored on file servers in a collaborative environment, OneDrive allows us to use a shared location in the cloud that's still private. Think of it as a giant Dropbox, or if you're not used to using things in the cloud, it's just a place where it's your private cloud space. And so we can move things into our OneDrive, which comes with Microsoft Office 365. So these are all tools that you have at your disposal when you have an account.
And in addition to sharing files through a team, we also have the option to share files in a chat. And we can do this by hitting the little paperclip icon at the bottom of the chat.
Also, a paperclip is just like how when I paperclip or insert something when I'm in an email.
Correct.
So it's just like attaching a file. Oh, so I could share a file by attaching it using the paperclip.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if any of you old school people remember Clippy, the paperclip. I think that was in the year 2000. He was a friendly paperclip. That was how Microsoft tried to have us remember how to insert things. Now we're gonna do a live little,
This is just
a
adding
little bit.
adding a document to a message. So using that paperclip down there, this will give you your options. And again, the Files tab,
so you went to the Files tab.
and just showing the different, the different sorting options that we just went over.
So that's how easy it is to paperclip something.
And going over again, that's it's the File tab and list of which view you're going to want to use. The Microsoft Teams view, the downloads, or the OneDrive. And
Staying on this, sorry I didn't mean to interrupt you, but staying on this slide for a minute, one of the biggest problems in business is knowing where to locate things. And for a long time we used a product called SharePoint. Not everybody here used SharePoint in terms of all our audience, but this is a little bit easier way to find things collaborative. It's either going to be in your Teams, as you've been sharing it, you will have downloaded it, or it's going to be in your OneDrive shared location, which you can then also post into Teams. So very easy to find things. Does it give you a structure where you've got things in file folders? Only if you've done that yourself in OneDrive.
yeah,
It's not really the place to organize those things. OneDrive would be. Or your personal hard drive or your network server. Those would be the places where you'd organize it.
correct.
But this is the place where you obtain it.
Mm-hmm. Another cool feature is sending an email to a channel. So if you have an important email you need your team to see, you can send it to a channel. What you do is click more options on the side of a channel. So the three dots we talked about before, and you'd be able to hit get email address, and you can forward an email to that address, and it would pop up inside your channel in your team, and your team can see it and give input on it, or if it's important they can reply to it, and just everyone can see it.
So you've got your screen laid out a certain way, really just to display it. What you're saying is if
Yep.
I clicked on those three buttons,
Yep.
it's that little screen that you're showing in the upper right-hand corner
Yep.
is going to pop up down there, and I would just say get email address
Correct.
there.
And this is what it look like on the bottom right here, the email in a channel.
So it would pull in all the emails related or the email that I'm looking for.
Yep.
And then I could share that.
Yep.
Nice.
So one of my favorite features of Microsoft Teams is the ability to use meetings. And in meetings, you can choose whether or not you want to do video and or audio-based communication. You can schedule these meetings for a specific time. They can be reoccurring. Or you can just meet now if something is urgent. These can be one-on-one meetings with a few people or with your entire team, up to a maximum of 250 people. You also have the ability to share your screen, which we are doing right now. You can record your meetings, and you can also join on your phone to take your meetings wherever you go.
This is very convenient when you are not with your computer and you can meet using your cell phone just like you might in a FaceTime.
So in the application itself, we can go to the Teams tab, the Calendar tab, and notice that here at the top right, we have the New Meeting option. So we can click on that, and it's going to ask us for a title. Here you can choose required attendees, if any. I can say I want Harry to be in this meeting, so we'll select him here. Here you can give the meeting a date and a time. You can choose whether or not you want it to repeat. You can choose what team you want the meeting to occur with. So I'm going to choose the Microsoft Teams presentation channel. You can choose a location, if any, and any details anyone else joining the meeting needs to know. When you're ready, you just hit send at the top. And you'll notice the meeting goes to whatever time slot you gave it when you're setting it up. And it takes a second to load, but then the meeting will show up here. If we click on the meeting again, we have the option to join. And before you join the meeting, you're given the option to either show your video or mute your audio. And when you're ready to join, you just hit join now. And once you're in the meeting itself, you do have a few more options like we went over a little earlier. You can share your screen here. So this is very helpful, especially with PowerPoints, if you want to give like a visual representation for your team. You have the more actions, so if you wanted to record a meeting for people who aren't able to attend, you would do that here. Or if you want to see who else is in the meeting or invite someone else, you would do that here as well. And when you're ready to leave, you just hit hang up. Now you're also able to meet immediately using a Meet Now with a private meeting. Doing it this way, you don't meet with a specific team, you just meet by yourself and whoever else you invite. So after you hit Join Now, the only people in the meeting are people you invite right here.
Now, the way that this works sometimes in practice is you may just call somebody. So if Matthew went up to the top in the search bar and typed in the name of somebody he wanted to meet with, let's say John Tinsman, and he then calls John Tinsman, and then later on wants to add another person, at that point in time, you can then go and have a meeting and join that person in. Now we're not trying to have these full meetings and call people and have them show up, and this, I wish this was a radio show where we could, surprise people and pretend that we're gonna give them a prize. But it's really, you can do both. In other words, you can start a spontaneous meeting and by just simply chatting to somebody and turning on the audio, and then you can click to add another person in the upper right hand corner to ask someone to come and join you in a meeting, because now you want to have 3 or 4 people. The conversation has gotten bigger. You don't always have to do a formal meeting invite.
Similar to Teams meetings, we also have the option to have a live event. And for some of the bigger organizations, this is a better solution because it can hold up to 10,000 people as opposed to just 250. But the benefit of having a live event is you can also make it public. And in doing this, you are likely going to want to delegate roles. And the 2 roles you're able to delegate are presenters and producers. And a presenter is able to share their audio, video, or screen and moderate question and answering.
Now, the way you might use this in practicality is your business might want to, a good example of this is a school district that wants to then take this to a public board meeting. And we do have school districts that do use these kinds of tools to have the collaboration, as we are in a pandemic, to have a live event. But we're not going to demonstrate that live event today.
And then the producers get a little more control. They are able to start and stop the event, control what is shared and when, and then anything else the presenter is able to do.
You can kind of imagine that you need a producer because not everybody in the audience turns off their audio, so all of a sudden you hear people's dogs barking and other things that happen in meetings, and so the producer can really control the flow to make sure the audio quality and video quality are right.
Correct.
So it's a pretty powerful tool.
Mm-hmm.
Another very important part of Microsoft Teams is the use of applications. You can use applications such as Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, all the basic Microsoft products that are built straight into Teams. There's also ones your company can approve, and there's more you can add through the App Store. And if I show that quickly, you see you have the Apps tab here at the bottom. And you can search for an application you might want. So now in our current COVID situation, there's a lot of Zoom, or like we're using now, GoToMeeting. These are some of the applications you can add, and you can actually join those meetings straight through Microsoft Teams.
Now this sounds kind of funny, right? Like we just showed you can have a meeting with Microsoft Teams, but in a good collaboration environment, it's letting you use other tools, whether that's Zoom or GoToMeeting, and then you can launch them again without having to leave your Teams environment. Microsoft's trying to create an environment where you can live in all day long without having to move out of it.
And another option you can do with certain applications is when you're in a message, you're able to hit that More button at the bottom. And some applications can add data straight into a message. For instance, a weather app, you can add the weather straight into a message. Something that I learned about Microsoft Teams is the search bar at the top is actually more than just a search bar. It's called the command box. And in addition to searching for people, files, channels, you can also run commands. And if I would to demonstrate that,
Now we are in the advanced section right now, so for people that we may be going too advanced. So I'm gonna let's take some time for questions unless you've got anything else. We haven't given any time for questions. Do you have anything else you want to make sure is covered right now?
just that the benefit of using Microsoft Teams is that it's essentially your hub. So if you are a user of Microsoft 365, it connects your OneDrive, your Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, all those Microsoft products all into the same place. And at the same time, you can communicate with your team right then and there.
Yep.
So that's a pretty good summary, and let us tell you this. We're not trying to sell you on Microsoft Teams. What we are trying to say is we recognize that when customers are buying from Microsoft or TwinState, as your partner, these tools, you actually pay money and get this for free. We want to make sure, free is not free, right?
Correct.
We want to make sure you know what you have got so you can use it. If you can use it, you're going to be more powerful, but this is given to you as part of Microsoft's product set. So we want to make sure you're comfortable knowing what this is. Now we'll take questions. You'll have to unmute your microphone or just chat. We've got up here on the slide how to use more. There's a few other sections we've got. You can do feeds, some fancy things you can do, and we could always do advanced teams also.
And we also plan on making more videos about Teams later for the more advanced features that we're not able to cover right now.
Are you guys seeing any other
So it
chats
looks like
come
we
through?
have a question about Microsoft Teams using the live feature. Is it impacted by what version of Teams you are paying for? I believe it does not come with the free version, but it should come with any of the versions that cost money.
That's a good question.
And to
We're
be
getting a couple other questions coming in just a second.
the share file doesn't have to be saved in OneDrive.
Not really. A shared file can be saved simply in Teams.
Yeah.
It does not need to be in OneDrive. It could have come from your laptop on your hard drive. It can come from anywhere.
But if it's in OneDrive, it gives you that ability to edit it in real time.
Yeah, it'll be on the cloud.
So the distinction that Perry just made is when you have something in a shared environment, just like with Google Docs, once it's in the cloud, the collaboration of the cloud capabilities and features lets you mutually edit that. If it's just on your own hard drive and you're trying to make a link to that, and it's located on your personal computer, and you turn that off, it's not going to be available. The number one thing I do in Teams is ask quick questions and have a record of it, whether it's by chatting or it's by having a quick video with somebody face to face.
Without the-
But the collaboration in writing or creating documents and screen sharing is pretty helpful. I do find that I need a big screen. I think Sarah had some problems with the screen size. I do also have screen size problems, so it's harder for me to see on a laptop screen. I need a big screen for real collaboration.
So I see we have a question about Teams meetings, whether or not the host of the meeting is able to attend. As long as the meeting's scheduled ahead of time, and depending on the control that the organizer has given to the meeting, they should be able to join still if it is scheduled.
There are no time limits on meetings. One thing you do run into problems, and this is across the board, whether it's Microsoft or Zoom or GoToMeeting, is bandwidth, which is the internet, does control the capability and quality of a meeting. So when we're inside our organization using Teams and everyone's physically present inside TwinState, we're not going out to communicate to somebody. But when we're having a meeting like this, poor internet quality, and the internet is building connections dynamically, you can have like the highway get too crowded, and you'll get messages that will say, poor quality, should you turn off your video? And then you do that because internet is not providing a lot of room. Do you have another question?
So like Shannon said here, would it be better to move all of the company's shared documents to Teams versus SharePoint? Is SharePoint going away at some point?
That's a great question that Shannon asked. And Microsoft is doubling down on SharePoint. So SharePoint has a different kind of environment. We don't see that going away. Do you move information to OwnCloud? OwnCloud can be used by an individual and it can be used by a group, but SharePoint is really for company shared files. So in OwnCloud, what we do is put a link to an OwnCloud if we have a shared OwnCloud, but OwnCloud is not necessarily have capabilities to be shared by a whole company. Does that answer the question? OwnCloud is in a way individually given to you when you have a Microsoft account. So I have my own OwnCloud account. I don't necessarily want that with everybody's company documents on it. So think of it as a Google Docs just for me in the sky. So the answer would be no, I probably wouldn't move everything to OwnCloud necessarily like that.
And we really appreciate everyone for attending today. We appreciate your time. It looks like we have about 1 minute and then the meeting is going to automatically end.
Do we have any more questions?
Doesn't look like it right now.
Shannon, I'll actually tell Melissa about your question too. She might give you a more detailed answer than I'm doing in a big group. Thank you all for attending. We really appreciate your time. We'll be getting back to you, and I know that we had some people here stick through the long haul with us, so appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate it.